Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's your boy Jam Moses back with another My Team video. That's right, we're gonna talk about how to get a pink diamond Jalen Brunson because the New York Knicks whooped some ass last night. Okay, and every night they've been killing it. Anyway, that's obviously a joke. We are here to talk about some Pokemon Unite stuff. Now, I don't know exactly what the title's gonna be at the time of me recording this, but there was some news. Well, not news. I apologize. This is potentially false. But it could be true. I didn't really look too much into like if this is related to the person that originally posted that image that had like Blaziken and Phalanx and all those Pokemon together. So this could just be complete bull, and I just wasted my time making this video and actually writing notes down and stuff like that. But I'm gonna need my glasses. This was an image that dropped last night, which obviously has Rhydon, Cerulege, Aggron, Tatsugiri, Vaporeon, Swampert, Arceus, Skeledirge, Porygon Z, Cetitan, and Slitherwing. Now, again, take this with a complete grain of salt. I could just be wasting my time, but I really did. I was like, you know what? I let me take a look at these, like what I would hope, or at least what I expect them to go with. I also asked Jan for his opinion as well, so we'll see what each one brings. But I will say, if this is true, the potential is very the potential of what they could be is kind of exciting. Going back to what we were talking about yesterday with like how we got that news that Phalanx and was it Cerulege are all rounders, or I think so, yeah. And and then Miraidon's an attacker. So it's been almost a year since we've gotten any kind of support Pokemon. I think it's been a little bit less than that since we've gotten a defender. So really hoping that these have those, and I can make an argument here and there for where I think they would. But all right, so first up, Aggron. Yes, I made a bad bootleg. Anyway, so I asked Jan what he thought. He said all-rounder and defender, which I'm willing to. I'm inclined to agree with, but I think I make more of a case for defender. When I asked Jan why he picked the things that he did, pretty much just said their body habitua or something. What, like what exactly? Their body habitus. So, if you know big words, just basically their body shape. Why couldn't he say that? I don't know, because he's an engineer. But yeah. So for me, I genuinely hope it's a defender. It makes the most sense. Very bulky. If you look at Aggron's base stats within game, and I'm gonna kind of use their actual base stats for a lot of my arguments of what my expectations are. Heavy on defense. Super heavy on defense. And a lot of their move pool can kind of benefit with them for that. Aggron's abilities in general are, two of them are already within the game of Unite, Sturdy and Heavy Metal, though they are obviously not used the same way that they're used in regular mainline Pokemon. But the third ability that Aggron has is Rockhead, which does not receive recoil damage from recoiling, causing attacks. So I was thinking of that in a way. Maybe that could be something where it prevents CC for like a cooldown, similar to Heavy Metal. Heavy Metal prevents like being moved and stuff like that, but maybe prevents some kind of stun damage for that moment. Once it triggers the passive, then it's on cooldown, and it can be just like Heavy Metal. Potential moves, I think, to start when you're Aaron, like either Roar or Protect. Protect, pretty straightforward. You just put a shield on, similar to like how Metagross has. Or Roar could be something that weakens opponents, similar to, I think, it's a Baby Doll Eye or any of those, just some kind of debuff. And then for an attack at that stage, Metal Claw, straightforward. Once we start evolving, though, I was thinking you could go either which way in terms of like one lane of the mole pool is some kind of stat change, and then the other one is more of an attack. So the one that's an attack would either be like Iron Head or Iron Tail. Iron Tail could probably be a knockback, and then Iron Head could be a dash or something like that. Like a kind of like not a long dash, but like a, you know, it gives you forward momentum or something like that. Iron Tail being like a knockback, I was thinking like it turns, like the sweep of the tail could knock enemies back, pushing them away from plate. I am trying to again think a little bit more defender minded. So in terms of that other lane I was talking about in terms of attacks, I was thinking maybe like Iron Defense, pretty straightforward, right? But that could be, you know, you bulk up even more on your defense, but there's a sacrifice there. You're sacrificing speed. The alternate to that, autonomize, you sacrifice defense for a speed boost. So I think that kind of gives you a little bit more of play of how you want to go about it. Do you want to be a tank, or do you want to be like, you know, just aggressive, you know? So, but a third option I put was Metal Sound, is like maybe that could be something that weakens enemy defenses or something like that. I don't think that really works for defender, but if you're going all, like if they decide to go all rounder, again, to Jan's case on why he put all rounder for Aggron, Metagross realistically could have been a defender with all the things that I'm kind of saying about Aggron, but they went with all rounder, so you never know. In terms of a Unite move, and some of these, like as I go on, I really like I wrote these late at night. So Metal Burst is the highest level attack Aggron can get, so probably something Metal Burst related. Area effect attack, AoE type attack. Maybe it does some sort of confusion. It's not like Metal Burst actually does that, but I don't know, something that kind of adds an additional effect or something like that. I know Metal Burst itself is it has greater force against the opponent that last inflicted damage on it. So maybe that could be worked into it. It could be similar to Metagross, where like it's improved based on the number of opponents that you have within the radius of the AoE. You know, and then maybe like based off that, whoever was the last person to hit you within that set is the one that takes the brunt of the damage. But yeah, that's my take on Aggron. If it's defender, I would be so excited. As I've said multiple times in our videos, I am a big time defender player. I much rather play defender. And I do like being an aggressive defender. Like, yeah, I'll hold it down, but I also want to be able to, like, you know, fight. I don't want to just stand there. I want to be able to fight. So Aggron would hopefully be fantastic for that. Next on the list, though, Tatsugiri. Now, I saw this and I think I had tweeted immediately like, oh, supporter Tatsugiri, primarily because I'm thinking about the commander ability. Now, obviously, commander within the lore of Scarlet and Violet is only supposed to work with the Danzo. It is what it is, right? Who cares? It's Unite. Who cares? I think it could be kind of like a Comfy situation where it jumps into the mouth of a teammate and it gives them buffs. Now, I know for actual Tatsugiris with the different forms, they each have a different buff that they do. So maybe that could be the play of it. Obviously, you know, they're not gonna do all three forms like within one thing. You know, like they'll probably be costumes or stuff like that, and like they don't really affect the thing that you do. But orange is attack, the pink one is defense, and the yellow one is speed. Just to keep those in mind of how that could play into the actual move pool. But yeah, really hope it's supporter. I don't think it would make sense for it to be anything else. Like, it's so tiny. But definitely a special attacker. Oh yeah, Aggron, obviously melee, physical attacker. But yeah, Tatsugiri, special attacker. I think especially with it having to be on somebody, assuming that is how it goes. Potential moves to start, maybe Harden and Water Gun. harden just for the sake of increasing the defense. That could be used for, you know, your teammate. But then as we go on, this was a little bit tricky. So like again, kind of similar to Aggron, with one line being stats, like the potential to affect stats or something like that, and then the other one being an attacking thing. Helping Hand or Muddy Water. I think Helping Hand, obvious, you know, increase your attack stats of the person that you're using Commander on. And I was thinking Muddy Water as a way to slow down opponents or something like that. Kind of like, you know, kind of like a Slow Smoke, or either slow down, or I guess accuracy is not really something that's in play like that. So I think, yeah, probably a slowdown pull. Not my biggest choice in that, but it does still work in a defender kind of way. I mean, sorry, a supporter kind of way of like helping the person that you're attached to. And then the other one was Water Pulse or Dragon Pulse. I think Water Pulse, it would be interesting to have something that does confusion other than Sableye Confuse Ray. So like the chance for it to do confusion. And then Dragon Pulse kind of just like a straight up attack. I was thinking of Dragon Pulse as a Unite move to actually do damage. But I decided against that, and what I originally was going to go with as an attack, but I think could potentially work as a Unite in a support role, is something like Mirror Coat. So like in game, it's a counterattack pretty much that does special damage to double damage to any special attack. So you could probably rework that in a way that maybe it gives either the specific person that it's on a counter shield, obviously not for a long time, probably the one hit that it would take or something like that, or since it would be a Unite move, maybe like a full team within the radius, not like, you know, not like a Mewtwo situation where it would just attach to everybody. So I think if you're going for team support kind of thing, then yes, I think that could be the Unite move, but I kind of like Mirror Coat doing that for the individual over Muddy Water. I think, you know, you could probably get a lot more fun and interesting moves out of something like Tatsugiri, utilizing the whole idea that it does attack, defense, and speed buffs, give or take, you know. But yeah, that's kind of, with this one, I was kind of just looking at the moves that Tatsu can learn on its own without TMs. But as we go on, I realized like that's something I can't really like stick to forever. And yeah, 100% would have to be a special attacker. It does have on its base stats, special attack is pretty high. So next up, Vaporeon. We've talked about this so many times. With the way that the EVs are, and the idea that it should be set up as like a team comp situation, we have enough like attack and all-rounder EVs. Though I'll make the argument that probably Flareon would end up being another one of those. It would be interesting if Flareon went defender. But I think out of what we have left that we're missing, Vaporeon, Jolteon, and Flareon, Vaporeon is the one that makes the most sense as supporter, though I do think Jan put defender. Vaporeon has the hydration ability, which in my head I was thinking, okay, what's another way that can work around that? So like with hydration, it heals when Rain Dance is not heals, but, you know, clears status conditions. So maybe as an ability, maybe it works like a full heal whenever it uses water attacks or something like that. That's a little iffy, you know. I think some of these ideas that I have are a little bit OP or something like that. So if they are, let me know. First of all, yeah, let me know in the comments what you think of anything I'm saying. If I'm just so stupid it hurts. If you even like these Pokemon coming into the game, and I'll kind of go back and talk about overall what I think of the selections. But yeah, or like any ideas that you have that are probably more than likely better than mine. But yeah, to start, Swift and Covet. Maybe Covet steals Eos Energy, or I guess I don't really know another way that it could help teammates, since it would be in a supporter role. Maybe it could be well, baton pass maybe. I don't know. That one it's a little iffy to think about, but yeah, because like all the EVs start with Swift, so I don't know how you would do this one differently. Maybe it surrounds you like a shield. I'm thinking like Starman's weapon in Mega Man. But moving on from that, with I came up with this in the mind that it would be supporter over defender, but you could probably do some workarounds. Aqua Ring, obvious, healing attack. But the alternative to that could be acid armor, which I know Jan mentioned acid armor, I think on stream or whatever when we were talking about Vaporeon. But maybe it could give shield as to teammates. And then it's for an attack or an alternate thing, chilling water, debuff enemy probably. It could lower their attack stats just like chilling water does. But another one I think could be interesting if they decide not to bring, Finizen into the game. Flip turn, where you could swap with a vulnerable teammate. Again, not something egregious where you're on one lane, I'm on another, and I'm swapping with you like I'm Hoopa. Like, no. But, like within a certain radius, we swap. Like, let's say you're getting jumped. But I need to get you out. Boom. That's it. We swap places. You're back on plate. Maybe, and then, with the hydration ability, if it's the way that it is, like I'm saying it's going to be, if they're getting CC'd, maybe Vaporeon has a chance to escape thanks to hydration and the water ability, whatever. So, what up? I think that could be an interesting move. You would definitely be saving your teammates a lot with something like flip turn, but maybe to make it a fighting attack, you swap, and then like Vaporeon would do like a little splash that kind of pushes people. Either pushes people or just like attacks, it doesn't have to have that extra benefit to it. And then for Unite move, I think Rain Dance, kind of like a floral healing situation. I think it boosts up the power of Vaporeon's passive, assuming that, also, I don't know if I said that, the passive would have a cooldown. It's not like, she's clearing status conditions all the time. But like if you also still have your passive not activated and you use your Unite, it kind of strengthens the radius potentially of like healing, like the full heal if we want to go that way. And then like I was thinking Rain Dance as it moves with you within that radius instead of just being stuck with floral healing or whatever it's called for Comfy in one area. So yeah, that could be a lot of fun. Could be really interesting. I realize now as we're about to move on to the next one, Swampert. I didn't really write anything down. I just realized. I never finished. So Jam Wet defense and all rounder. I'm inclined to agree that it's probably going to be an all rounder. I think especially if everything else turns out the way leading up to this that I want in terms of a defender and two supporters. And obviously the way that this is ordered on that picture doesn't mean that's the order that they would even release it. I don't think the other one did that either. I think Blaziken was the first one on the list and it ended up being one of the last. Anyway, so I'm thinking all-rounder. In general, Swampert's base stats are pretty well-rounded. It doesn't really push too heavy on anything other than the fact that like its speed is low. So this was tough. In terms of abilities that Swampert has in actual game, Torrent and Damp, I think there's a version of Torrent in Pokemon Unite already. So I was gonna say something like Damp, which Damp minimizes or like invalidates certain moves like Explosion, Self-Destruct, Mind Blown, Misty Explosion. So it's not a one-to-one with these abilities in terms of what they are versus what they are in what they are in Unite versus what they are in regular Pokemon. So maybe Damp could just weaken certain things, just weaken certain initial hits or critical hits or something like that. That could be a caveat. But again, if it's too egregious, throw a cooldown on the passive. But yeah. This one was tough to think about. I think to start, Mudkip could have Mudshot, and Water Gun, or Water Gun could be the basic, and like it has tackle or growl, like just anything for Mudkip to start with. But as we move on, I feel like anything that I'm thinking of is just gonna be like run of the mill. Um, Endeavor could be something interesting. You kind of have like um, Cinderace with Faint, right? Like I can't think of too many Pokemon in Pokemon Unite that utilize something like Faint, where it's like you have to time it perfect with that hit to kind of nullify the opponent's attack. So Endeavor kind of just working as a counter move could be really cool. I think that would also elevate the plays for Swampert. Like you would have to be really mindful of how you attack, like activating the attack and stuff like that. So it would probably fall into intermediate or a little bit higher if you decided to go down the Endeavor route. I think I did put as a melee. So like in terms like more of a physical attacker. So yeah, because I think it should have a mix of ground and water type attacks. It's funny that a lot of its attacks are kind of special attacks. So, but its base stat does lean more towards it being an attacker than a special attacker, like a physical attacker than a special attacker. But I think it's so close that that's why you can make it an all rounder. Though that doesn't obviously change the fact that a Pokemon's either attacker or special attacker. So it could be that instance where they categorize it as a melee, but it still does a few like clearly long range special attacks. Yeah, I really didn't have too much with this one. So that one kind of everything I said about it for the most part was just me pulling it out of my butt right now. Next up, and this one I put a little thought in. Not really. It's Arceus. Now, I think you just give up. I think you just give up like they have with the fact that like EX licenses are there. Like I said yesterday, when we were talking about when we were reading over Miraidon stuff, they were like, you know what? Yeah, we put in the EX license limit. It's not gonna be in rank, so now we can just go absolutely stupid with these. And I think what better Pokemon to do that with than God? Like this is Arceus. In the lore of Pokemon, yeah, he has judgment. At the end of the day, this is the best Pokemon in the world in terms of like he'll kill anybody. Now, of course, strategies and blah blah blah, whatever, right? It's Arceus, so you already slap on that EX. You really you change his name around, rearrange it so it's Arc-EX. Okay, horrible joke. But I think so. Attacker, 100%. But I think you have the first instance where it doesn't matter if they are attack or special attacker. I think Arceus is both. Primarily because of judgment, but so I think you go with the multi-type ability, but obviously instead of it being it could change typings or whatever, I think it attacks the opponent based on their weaker stats. So like if they are a physical defense, then it attacks with a special defense attack, and if they are a special defense attack, then it attacks with a physical attack. But regardless, like the move is the same. That's what Judgment does anyways as well. And I think the Unite move should just be Judgment is kind of like Mewtwo's where it can hit everybody. With this, like I said, with this one, you give up. You just say it is what it is. We're doing an EX Pokemon. Have fun with him. He's gonna be broken as anyway. So just all right. Just yeah. So in terms of like actual moves, it has the potential to have so many moves. I think you go extreme speed for a dash. You go, I don't know, you can go hyper voice, like some variant of hyper voice. You can go healing wish, as oh my god, yeah, healing wish or recovery in general. Yeah, recovery. Hyper beam. Go stupid. Why not? Hyper beam with like a crazy cooldown. Extreme speed for a dash. Recovery for a healing. Cosmic power could just give it defense boost, you know, like a temporary cooldown. Just go real stupid with this. Just go insane. So much potential. I don't think you do the thing that you do with Mew where like you could switch moves. I think you have what you have. It's already gonna be OP, so don't give it too much, you know. But next on the list is very ironic because where's Skeletor? Did I not? Hold on, technical difficulties. All right, Skeletors. There you go. Now it's fixed. So the irony of Skeletors is that yesterday, when me and Jan were talking about it, I think in that video, he had said like, oh, you know, we should be getting it. Like, I think getting Cerulege before the other starters is interesting. Is like it's nice because obviously Cerulege is pretty popular. But he had said, you know, like Quaxley and Quaquaval, and I said no, we're not. No, screw them. But definitely screw Skeletors. Yeah, you're not getting Skeletor. Oh, God. So he's getting Skeletors, probably. Assuming, again, that this is real. Also, I forgot to say what Jan's opinion was on the last two. Yeah, so yeah, I think, yeah. Swampert, Defender, All-Rounder. Arceus, he said Attacker or All-Rounder. So yeah, definitely inclined to think that it's Attacker, especially based on majority of the EXs are Attacker. But going to Skeletors, Jan said Attacker. I'm actually going All-Rounder. It's kind of that situation with Swampert where base stats are pretty close, like pretty balanced across the board for Skeletors. Special attacks. Unaware is one of the other ones. Blaze has been used by pretty much all the starters though, so they could just go Blaze and do some sort of variant of it. But I think with Unaware, the interesting thing you could do is maybe like it ignores certain buffs, like it ignores wild buffs that the opponents might have or anything like that. Am I crazy or on that or sold on that? I don't know. We'll see. But in terms of moves, you know, to start Ember and Round, you know, I think you do kind of emphasize the fact that Skeletor sinks. So like, you know, for Fuecoco starting Ember, it's the most generic fire attack, and then Round a projectile music note. If it has an extra thing added onto that, who knows? But moving on from those moves, I think this one I'm a little iffy on. So I think you could either go fire build or ghost build, or obviously mix it up. So Torch Song, that's Skeletor's signature move. I think maybe it could do like I don't think enough Pokemon in Unite utilize something like Confusion. Is that maybe too much? Maybe. So maybe, you know, I don't think you do Confusion obviously for Torch Song. That's not a Torch Song thing, but like yeah, maybe it just significant with the burn or something like that. The alternative though, if you go Ghost route, Shadow Ball, which I think then maybe that's where you go with Confusion. Or what each could do is kind of like a debuff situation. So like Torch Song weakens attack and then Shadow Ball weakens defense somehow, you know, like nothing egregious, but it kind of has that long-term effect on the opponent. And it's kind of funny how, like, you know, that would work with something like Unaware, where Skeletor isn't affected really by any buffs, but is constantly nerfing people. And then on the other side, I think you go with Incinerate or Hex. Incinerate, I think, can do something really interesting where, like, the actual in-game thing for Incinerate is that it burns whatever held item, right? Or it could just be berries. Yeah. Okay, so certain items. I think that could work as well, where like maybe it adds a cooldown to items, like an item being held. Like let's say the opponent has potion, you hit them with Incinerate, and like they can't use it for 5 seconds or something like that. I mean, you already, you know, maybe that's crazy, right? Maybe because then you can really fuck people up who depend on like eject button and full heal. But I think, you know, you can do so much more interesting things with all these moves that we already have. And then Hex, you can do damage, and then maybe on like the upgraded version, it adds a random debuff or status condition. I'm not really thinking about cooldowns when I'm talking about these, so like these could be OP as hell, and maybe the cooldowns could be a way to work around it, or like the statuses that they are putting on aren't that long term. They're just like a quick little like boom. And then for the Unite, just another form of like torch song, like mixed with overheat, like just a dramatic symphony of fire, you know. And probably you get more of that status stuff thrown in there with the Unite move. Really, like I said, pulling these out my butt as we get towards the end with these. Next up though, Porygon Z. Jan put supporter question mark. Looking at Porygon Z, I don't really know. I think you could go. I put attacker just because like its special attack stat is insane. You know, it has a lot of normal type moves. It can do a lot of things, but yeah, in terms of it being support, like I mean, it has recovery, agility, like it could do stat changing stuff. It could do trick room, nasty plot, nasty plot. Lock on. Yeah, you could probably work out lock on where like you use that as like instead of just not missing, maybe it improves critical hit for a teammate or something like that. But yeah, with what I was thinking in terms of a potential move or a cooldown or ability. So it does have recycle as an attack, which what recycle does is it recycles a held item that's been used in battle so it can be used again. I think that could be very interesting in terms of maybe reducing cooldown on held item, like the usable battle item. Because I don't think it would be great to use that as a way to prevent the cooldown for held items. Like, you know, if you have weakness policy or something like that, it's about to run out, and boom, I use recycle, and now all of a sudden it's still going. You know, I think that would be a little bit too OP. So maybe recycle for something like item. I don't think you go crazy where like you can get it back every single time, because then, well, I mean, I guess maybe yeah, because you are giving up an attack for recycle. So maybe that could be like the caveat with it. And in that instance, maybe it would work as a support, you know? This was a little iffy for me. I 100% though think you have to get Tri Attack in there. Like you don't have a Porygon without Tri Attack. So that could work in a way where it does a random status condition as well. It could either stun, burn, or freeze opponents. So it would be great if it was a supporter, but I don't think supporter. I do think at best, if not attacker, if you do kind of these more fun ideas with it than just all rounder, I don't think I mean, it's too slow to be a speedster, period. I don't think anyone on this list is actually a speedster. I would be shocked. I think, you know, it weight wise it maybe has the potential, but speed it definitely does not have. It's really not that great. Like, it's got a 90 speed, which is their second highest base stat, but when I'm thinking speedster, I'm thinking like actual speed, baby. Real speed. Let me check Leafeon. Because if Leafeon's is that short, then okay, Leafeon's a 95. So maybe he could be a speedster. But then, you know, you really change up everything that I said, and I don't think that's really exciting for something like Porygon. I think the Tri Attack thing, yeah, obviously given, but so much other potential. Didn't really go into abilities. I couldn't figure out a way to change analytic, because I think all his other stuff is already used up, which doesn't matter. You know, in Unite they have multiple of the same ones used by different Mons. Like I said, Blaze is used up like hell. So maybe you go with adaptability, kind of the same way the Eevees have adaptability, and you kind of just change that around. So Titan. As Jan said with the habitus. I also agree, defender. That's what we're both going with here. The mass is there. This is a tank. So Titan's HP is insane. Its HP stat is crazy. So I don't think you go any other way. You go HP tank. Very slow as hell, but I do have some kind of workarounds with that. Then again, the moves isn't what I focused on here, though I think it'll be a melee attacker. For an ability, Snow Rush. Changed it up though for Unite. Snow Rush within the game does increase speed when snow is in effect. Obviously, weather effects aren't really a thing in Unite, unless it's Christmas time, and then maybe Titan goes crazy in you know. Oh my god, I'm already for Shiver City or whatever it's called. Shiver City. So yeah, I was thinking what Snow Rush could be is like when Titan is stationary, it starts to build up snow in that area. Like not an egregious radius, but within a certain radius around Titan. And it could create slowdown spots. Or, yeah, not because it would be crazy if it was like creating snow walls, kind of like Ninetales with I forget what the ice wall attack is, whatever it is. I think that's a little bit too much, but I think like little slowdown spots, and then of course they would melt after a certain amount of time with Titan walking away. But I think with Titan being heavy on HP, but so very slow because it's such a tank, it's massive. It could be a good way of setting things up where maybe you're hiding in the grass, really big Pokemon hiding in the grass, and an opponent walks by, but because you're stationary now, all of a sudden they're caught up in your Snow Rush, and you have the potential to attack with your melee attacks. I don't know, whatever. To start with Satotl, Powdered Snow, could just be like a projectile kind of thing. Again, still melee, but still a melee attacker. And then, I don't know, Tackle, Echoed Voice. That's just to start with Satotl. As you move on, didn't really, again, think too much about it. I was falling asleep when I was writing these. Ice Spinner, definitely 100%, as Avalugg has. I don't know if, I think, is it Mamoswine that has it also? Whatever. But yeah, definitely needs Ice Spinner. And like it could be a really strong way for it to just hold down the base. Avalanche as well. Just give it Avalanche. That could work as similar to like the Ice Wall. It projectiles out, but like it's just a wave kind of, similar to every other surf in the game. Blizzard, Body Slam. Body Slam could be a knockback. Jumps up, hits the ground, boom. I don't imagine Titan does a lot of movement with its attacks or its overall. It's just pretty much like, I'm holding this down. I'm holding this down. I got you guys. Could it be annoying? Hell yeah. But I think it doesn't do that much in terms of damage. I think it's just the fact that this is the freaking wall. Like it's like, like the giant ice wall in Game of Thrones or whatever the hell it's called. Last on the list, and I'm not fully, like I said, didn't really think too much about this one because I really don't know where you go. Slitherwing. Hey, at least we get a Paradox Pokemon. We already got, Ultra Beast. We have Mega Evolutions. We need a Paradox Pokemon. Weird that it's Slitherwing. I mean, technically Miraidon counts, but whatever. Who cares? Yeah, I think of all the Paradoxes, I mean, I like the Slitherwing design a lot. I like a lot of the past Paradox Pokemon a lot more than the future Pokemon, that's for sure. But yeah, I mean, I'm off the top of my head, I'm trying to think what the other ones are, but Slitherwing is definitely cool. Just would not have expected it to be the one here. Jam went with All-Rounder. I went with Attacker as also a melee attack stat. It's pretty heavy on the attack stat. It's a 135 with a high special defense. Very interesting. Its ability is obviously photosynthesis. It gets, a buff with Sunny Day. I went with it. It becomes stronger with when it's burnt, kind of like guts, um, but maybe burnt isn't the right one. Like I like maybe not just burnt. It could be with status condition, but something like frozen kind of goes against that, you know? Because like, what are the odds that every single opponent is gonna have like every team isn't gonna have a fire, you know? So like, I feel like that would just pretty much nerf it immediately. And then with draft mode coming, like you're gonna see like potentially, you know, like hey, you might actually get a Slitherwing, so let's nip that in the butt. So yeah, maybe like I'm not sold on it being burnt, but I do think you kind of utilize the fact that it has the potential to do more with that. So maybe instead of status condition, it could just be Eos energy. I don't think I was really thinking too much about like how Eos energy could be utilized more. But in the same way that like Mewtwo X and Y now, with how the more Eos energy they have, the more significant their Mega Evolution is, but then also they lose their Eos energy. I don't think Slitherwing loses it. I just don't think it's like something crazy like that. I just think it's like you get a certain percentage boost for every Eos energy that you're holding. So that way, you know, you're still inclined to hold energy, but you still want to score and stuff like that. Overall, in terms of attacks, dual wing beat, it could work as like a push off attack, or whirlwind. You don't go thrash as like it's a unite move, because you kind of have that with Mamoswine. Bug bite and ember to start, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I think bug bite could be a lunge when it's starting off. I mean, it literally has lunge. Morning Sun could be interesting. That could be another one where it heals, but it sacrifices Eos energy. So you're kind of still playing with the fact that it's holding this energy, as keeping it warm. That could be cool. That could be interesting. If it's all rounder like Jan is saying, I think maybe something that kind of supports a little bit more, maybe like a stun powder or poison powder. But yeah, I think you play with the Eos energy stuff a little bit more. You do that as the ability, and then Morning Sun is kind of there to like, hey, like we could heal. I mean, you could go even crazier and say it's a supporter, and it does do those stun and poison powder stuff with Morning Sun as its ult, right? And it's healing. I think not every supporter though needs to do healing, right? I think like with the way that I was building up Tatsugiri, it was doing buffs. I'm very bad at like what red mage and blue mage are. Like I know white mages are obviously healing. Blue mages learn skills from monsters by either getting hit by it or something else. Red mages use spells from black and white mages, but not the powerful ones. Okay, so then, yeah, because I know like black mages are the ones that primarily do damage. Yeah, because they're using black magic. So, that was a green mage. Is that even a... What does a green mage do? Specializes in buffing and debuffing in it. Okay, buffing allies and debuffing. Yeah, so I mean, I think Tatsugiri is more of a green mage. I think Vaporeon, based on a lot of that, could be kind of... I mean, it's white mage, but kind of a green mage in a way. With depending on the build you go with. If you were to go supporter with Slitherwing, which again you could, it would be a heavy, not heavy, but it would definitely be a bulkier supporter, which is kind of good, kind of cool. Morning Sun could just be swapped to a unite move that heals. But yeah, that was all of those. Those are my ideas with all of them. I know some of them were like I really spent a lot of time with Aggron. I really hope he's a defender. Tatsugiri, you go green mage. Vaporeon, white mage with a little green in there. Yeah, you know, like I said, I really thought more about the ones at the beginning. But overall, what I feel about all these, it's interesting that there is a significant amount of Gen 9 rep here. Almost half of this is Gen 9, if you're counting Miraidon and Cerulege to this picture. Obviously, we are getting them, so... yeah, it is interesting. I don't know why you would go with Skellige. Like, Cerulege I knew because it was one of the highest rated in terms of favorites. I think from a Japanese poll of the favorite Pokemon. I don't know if it was Gen 9 exclusive or it might have been Gen 9 exclusive. Cerulege was up there, so that makes sense. Meowscarada was up there. Skeledirge, I think, breaks top 10. I don't remember. Slitherwing and Cetitan definitely up there too, but yeah. If you're going to bring these and you don't mix it up in the way that I was kind of breaking it down, like, I don't know if the mouse is going to show up in the video, but Aggron, Defender, 2 supporter potential here. Like, really big chance to do that. And, like, you really have the chance for another Defender here. You could mess around and make Porygon and Slitherwing support class, though I don't think they would. I don't see a Speedster in here at all, though I did say you could kind of work around with Porygon and make it a Speedster, but I don't see them they don't have a great track history of, giving us diversity in other roles that are an attacker and all-rounder, so there's high possibility. I hope they do. I think Vaporeon is the only one that really makes sense with what's left as a supporter. Jolteon 1000% should be a Speedster. It should be. Flareon, I would be shocked. You could make it a Defender, but I don't think I don't think they would. I think, unless you go debuff and you make Flareon the supporter that does that, and it's working like a green mage, like it's doing a lot of burn stuff, holding down, and maybe like, helping hand. You kind of move some of the moves that I was talking about over to Flareon, but off the rip, Vaporeon makes the most sense for support. I would be super excited for Aggron if he's Defender. Arceus, I'm ready for that to just be absolutely broken, as it should be. It's the one that absolutely should. But yeah, this was a long video. I'm probably going to trim some of it out. I know I stutter a lot. I know I say a lot. And as we got past Vaporeon, I was just going off the dome. But if you did like this and you'd like to see more stuff like this from me or Jan, let us know in the comments. Let me know, again, if you have any different ideas. If you think my ideas suck, let me know. It won't hurt my feelings, because how do I know? I suck at Unite. Let me know if this were true. Does this excite you? Does this bring you back to the game if you left the game? Does this keep you in the game if you're thinking about, leaving the game? Is me doing this coming up with what I hope would happen and then being absolutely disappointed when they are all attackers, is that a high probability? Yeah. Obviously they're not going to release in this exact order, though I do think Miraidon and Cerulege are releasing in that order. But yeah, I'll also be disappointed if none of this happens. If most of this doesn't happen, like, I won't be hurt if like Skeledirge, Porygon, and like Slitherwing don't make it. I would only care if Cetitan was going to end up a Defender, which I don't think it doesn't. If you make this not a Defender, I need to know what Timmy is smoking. If you don't make Aggron a Defender, you're just an ass, okay? Anyway, all that rambling over with. Thanks for watching. If you really sat through all this, thank you. I really appreciate it. And again, do let me know what you think. Not just of me doing this, but of the topic in general. If you liked it, hit that like button. If you really liked it, hit that subscribe button. You just can't get enough. Come over to twitch.tv/BrothCindy, where we are hopefully live. But until the next one, peace.